Yeah, I have a question. Um, so I think when you talked about the feeling of natsukashi, kind of a remembering the past thing, I think maybe it is more relevant for senior citizens because the older you get, of course, you can still cultivate the opportunities and you can still enjoy your life and things. But generally speaking, it becomes basically you have a less opportunities compared to when you were younger. Therefore, quite often you spend your time reflecting upon your life and some of your like earlier memories or earlier accomplishments still plays a key role in your ikigai. So I just wonder how other people uh, think of this point as sort of ikigai for senior citizens and how reflecting upon the past can help them.
Awesome. Nice question. Who would like to answer?
Am I the oldest?
You're the wisest. So
I know I'm not, but I think I'm the oldest in this group. So I'll say it has two parts to looking back. You can look back. I have regrets, right? I have regrets. And I'm not one of the people who think you should never have regrets. It's not true. Like I have real regrets. There are things I wish I had done differently or things I didn't do and I wish I had done. But it doesn't paralyze me so that when something like that happens again, I have an opportunity to do something different. So I think there's regrets, but I also think I was thinking about it and thinking that, you know, there's periods of time that really stand out. It's kind of like a net, right? And there's little lights at certain times, certain ages. And I think, like, I'm so glad I did that. And that's something that brings me comfort. And I'm glad, like coming to Ottawa 11 years ago, that was a huge decision. And I am so glad I made that decision, even though I had to give up something that I didn't want to give up. And there were other consequences. But I do agree with the questioner that as you're older, you can look back and you can distill some of the very lovely things that you did that made up your life. And you can also look clearly, shinily at the things you wish you didn't do. But it's okay. We're human, right? And I appreciate our humanity.
Wonderful. How was that, Satyaki?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's really true. Yeah, I am actually 60 years old now, which is still young, depending on your definition. But I think more and more, I think about those questions as sort of senior citizen, how senior citizen can, use ikigai.
Awesome. Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, can I jump in a little bit? And it was a very great question and true response. And I wanted to kind of chime into that because my first couple studies actually too, was based on a university student. So one of the limitations that I noted was the fact that they were young adults, emerging adults, I guess we typically call, and they're, older, person's perceptions and experience of ikigai might have been a little different. And one of the things that I specifically noted was one of the theories that I have is called hokosei or life directionality, which is about connections that people create between past, current, and future. And maybe students were more future oriented in a way because, just because we think that we have much more in our life, moving forward, rather than someone who lived 60 years, 80 years, and so on and so forth. So they may have actually more backward, and not in a bad way, but, they have, in a way, sort of like a rich bank of ikigai sources that you can actually make so many connections in so many different ways that who you are today is supported by, even though your life journey may have been messy like this, but you can make such a rich and complex tapestry of the so many things that fitted into and shaped who you are today. So that could be a rich thing. And just to take your question step forward, though, is the ikigai across generations. And that could be a very interesting question that I would love to study. That, yes, you may not live, for example, next, let's say somebody may not live because they're 80 years old. So, in the next 20 years, but they could still impact the next generation, other people, community, right? So that actually, and that become their ikigai and still future oriented way beyond their lifespan, the time here on earth, and which I think is very interesting. And it could be psychological work, it could be the work that could save the humanity, and that's a grandiose statement, but in the long run. And I think that's what many people do, that many people retire, many people find a meaningful volunteer job or teaching gigs because they want to pass on something to the next generations, and how that impacts people's ikigai and how we can do that better can be very, and how we can trigger that button on some of the people with the rich experiences, so that they would have more opportunity and more people will come out and come up to actually give more the expertise and their tips and whatnot for the next generation. I think that could be an interesting ikigai research in itself.
You should do it.
There, thank you. I kind of need the money and time, but I'll figure it out.
You've got a lot of research to do, actually, Shin, from this conversation. So good luck.